right, so let's bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walls joining us now. I know before we were talking a little bit about storm surge. Big difference when it comes to upping those numbers right now.
Absolutely. So, you know, I think the last time that I had numbers like this in my forecast, Shara, you have to look back to Ian. And that's a really tough pill to swallow for this area. Absolutely.
And, you know, and just within the last hour, maybe 90 minutes, the city of Sanibel also, that was one of the biggest things that they were worried about was the risk of this. It had from 6 to 10 feet, and they said it's a possibility it can go from 8 to even 12 feet.
Right. Exactly right. And in Ian, we have to remember Sanibel actually maxed out at 13 feet. So this is going to be just shy of Ian. Regardless, though, first-story structures will be going underwater, and that, of course, is why those mandatory evacuations are in effect. So here's basically what we're focused on right now. So here in the last hour and a half or so, Milton has gone from a 4 back up to a Category 5. Sustained winds right now of 165 miles per hour. We are expecting it to gradually weaken just a touch prior to landfall. Regardless, though, making landfall just toward our north as a major hurricane that keeps us in that dangerous front right quadrant, and that keeps us in that zone for extreme storm surge. Let's take you outside right now. Let's head down to Fort Myers Beach, and that way we can check on things here from the Margaritaville Beach Resort. Of course, preparations underway, and at this point, Estero Island just a ghost town, as it should be, as we are expecting that area to deal with 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. Keep in mind, those roads were inundated just 2 weeks ago because of Helene by about 2 to 4 feet of surge. So now let's go ahead and multiply that by 4. Those are the kind of heights that we are expecting here with this particular system. By tomorrow night, that's when those surges will really start to amount up. From Englewood up to Anclote River, this does include the Tampa Bay area, coastal Sarasota. 10 to 15 feet of storm surge are expected. Those are Ian levels. And then from Englewood to Bonita Beach, this does include Charlotte Harbor, Pine Island, Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach. 8 to 12 feet of storm surge are forecast. Bonita Beach down to Chocoloskee, so coastal Collier, including Naples. 5 to 8 feet of storm surge are forecast. That's why zones A and B and now C in Charlotte County have been called. Otherwise, A and B have now been called in Collier as well as Lake counties. So here's that 5:30 update. Gust at 200 miles per hour. Central pressure, though, continues to drop. And here's the latest information. Landfall now expected a little bit later overnight on early Thursday morning. And that's kind of a worst case scenario. Anytime you see an overnight landfall, it always gives you that pit in your stomach, because you know that's when those waters are going to be at their highest point. That's when it's going to be the most vulnerable point. So it's one of those things where you want to make sure you get out before those waters even start to rise. If you're even considering evacuating, please do so now, and at the earliest, at the latest, heading into tomorrow morning, well before those waters start to come up. Now, as for those winds, the worst of the winds staying off toward our north. Here's what you can expect, though, in terms of our winds here. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, winds out of the south east, 20 to 25 miles per hour. Then, of course, a bit gustier heading into the afternoon, upwards of 35 miles per hour. By 8 o'clock, we'll start to see those gusts 50 to 70 miles per hour. The worst of those winds right along the coastline, continuing to ramp up as that system starts to make landfall. So right here around 2 a.m., that's when Arcadia, for example, will start to see those winds out of the southwest, gust to 70 miles per hour. And we are expecting those Category 1 force wind gusts here across southwest Florida. But for the most part, our winds won't be quite as strong, simply because we will not be experiencing the eye walls. The worst of the winds will be in the eye walls, which are expected to be up toward our north. Nonetheless, we will still see winds in that threshold, which will create isolated to scattered power outages. Heading into your Thursday morning, 9 a.m., winds still around 30 to 50 miles per hour, then gradually improving as we head into the afternoon. Now, as for those potential power outages, just to show you my updated power outage map, it's really later in the day on Wednesday that we'll start to see those power outages. So right here at 6 o'clock, isolated to scattered across our coastline as those winds start to increase. And then overnight, of course, Wednesday night into early Thursday, that's when we'll see more of those widespread isolated to scattered outages here across southwest Florida. The bulk of outages, though, are expected generally off toward our north, where those winds are going to be a bit stronger and where, of course, we are expecting to see more of those power lines come down. Now, as for those rain bands, of course, that's going to be a big concern heading into tomorrow. And also, we have to keep in mind, we've already seen one of those tornado warnings today I do expect more tornado warnings heading into tomorrow with those brief little spin ups that happen in some of those outer rain bands. So just something to keep in mind as those bands of heavy rainfall continue to shift on shore. Also 3 to 6 inches of rainfall could lead to some additional flooding. But as we head through the day on Thursday, gradually seeing those showers clear out. And for many of us, those showers actually clearing out by mid-morning on Thursday. So your 7-day forecast. So tomorrow, conditions going downhill. The worst of it tomorrow night, early Thursday morning. Improvements by Thursday afternoon. And then some good news Friday into Saturday, expecting mostly sunny skies and lower humidity.
All right.